Let's start with Cyberpunk. I want to get to the meat and potatoes of this game.
All right.
There's a lot to cover.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's important to acknowledge some of the issues that a lot of people are having with the game. First and foremost, I am playing it on the Xbox Series X. This game was not optimized for any of the base consoles, and when I say base consoles, I mean PlayStation 4, the original one, Xbox One, the original one, and even to some degree the Xbox One S, although I haven't seen too much footage of that particular system. Everybody seems to be either on the base Xbox One or on the One X. Um, it's a buggy mess on those systems. And by all accounts, it seems to be a buggy mess pretty much everywhere. But I've been very lucky with my experience on the Series X that the bugs have been at a minimum. I've encountered a couple. I've only got about, I want to say maybe somewhere between 8 and 10 hours of gameplay so far. So I have a long way to go. But I put some pretty good work into the game. And, I've been very fortunate with not encountering too many bugs. The ones that I have encountered have been inobtrusive for the most part. There's been some points where I've been getting some, like a dialogue exchange, and the game will freeze, and it looks like it's going to hard lock the system when it freezes. And I'm getting a little nervous, and then it just picks up right where it left off. Everything just continues on its merry way without any issues. And then I had one issue where some ragdoll physics were a little weird when I accidentally ran over some dude. I had another one where...
Was it really an accident, Drew?
Completely. In fact, there's footage of it on my Twitter page. I have a running thread of recorded footage that I've been posting on a regular basis. It's worth checking out if you haven't seen it. I was testing what it's like to drive the car in first-person mode, and I came to the quick realization that viewpoint is just not for me. It is a bad look for Drew in Cyberpunk. So I prefer the third person zoomed out furthest view, and that seems to be working pretty well. But yeah, I totally accidentally completely ran over this dude, and he he bounced off my windshield and then kind of like jackknifed in the air and landed with his ass in the air. It was very bizarre, very, very bizarre. But overall, like I'm thoroughly enjoying the game. It has been a lot of fun to play. I think it's important to note that first and foremost, this is very much an RPG. It is not a shooter. It is a game that does have first-person shooting in it, but the majority of the game is driven by dialogue, choices that you're making, stats that your character has, equipment that you're equipping, upgrading, trying to min-max your stats and things along those lines. And if you're going in looking for a first-person shooting experience, I think you're going to be grossly disappointed by that, because the shooting, while it's capable, it's certainly not as refined as a game like Destiny or Gears of War. Vortex, yes, more talky, less shooty. I think that's accurate.
Goddamn chicken.
I think that's an accurate way to put it. Even a game like Mass Effect, I think, is more shooty than it is than Cyberpunk is. But the game, at least on the Series X, feels very very lived in. The environments that they're creating are very immersive. Dense population. The lights are reflecting off of the ground. There's puddles on the street. It looks like it just rained, and you're seeing reflections of buildings on those or lights on those. And it really nails that Blade Runner aesthetic that I fell in love with the game in the first place.
Sure.
You're playing as a character by the name of V, who I haven't gotten to like the major plot point yet. I'm still kind of working my way up to it. But eventually, my understanding is he comes across basically the ghost of a dead rock star. And he acquires this through cybernetics, that dead rock star having been played by Keanu Reeves. But I have not gotten to that point in the game yet. That's kind of just cursory knowledge. I'm sure Damien will fill me in shortly and spoil the whole thing for me. But
Don't do it, dude. We have a ban button.
yeah, we do. But outside of that, I mean, the game has been a ton of fun. It is an absolute blast for me to play. I'm enjoying thoroughly exploring as much of it as possible. The combat, I'm starting to find this nice in between of using cybernetic powers to debilitate the enemies before I go in and start, actually attacking them. There's sneaking mechanics. There's a cover mechanic where you can fire around cover or pop up above objects. You're not just going straight in, guns blazing. And things like headshots do matter. I have a katana that I can use, and I've actually decapitated people with it, which is pretty cool.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it's an adult game through and through, very, very adult, whether it's in the advertising or in the language that's being used, in the blood and guts, in the sexuality. Like, this is a game that is meant for adults. And I appreciate that. There's been a lot of people that have kind of been negative with CD Projekt Red regarding their views on like homosexuality and transgender stuff and those lines. And I can understand why. I haven't seen anything in the game that I've been offended by, but I don't feel that I have the right to say that either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for what it is, I'm enjoying it. I think it's got a long way to go. They are patching the game. They actually released an apology on their Twitter page today saying we should have shown people what the game looks like on the base systems. We should have been a little bit more careful about optimizing it for those systems. And they're vowing to make it better. And I applaud them for doing that. But at the same time, IGN just released a review for it, which was 1 page and it was a 4. And it's like, don't play this game until they fix it. And
I saw that.
And that's legit. If you go online and you look up videos of the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One, it's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster.
It is.
And even if you go into it like expecting it to not look as good as the PC version does, like, this is just unacceptable.
It is. And I think IGN said that verbatim, didn't they? Didn't they say like unacceptable?
Believe so, yeah.
I saw some kind of video or article that said that this is unacceptable, and I like agreed with it, even though I'm not part of this this process, since I don't have the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're at a crossroads with these generations right now, and this is one of the fears that I believe a lot of Xbox players have, where you're looking at games that are supposed to be cross-generation, but you're going to have to at some point stop optimizing them for the old consoles. You know what I mean? Where do you draw that line? Where do you say, all right, the Xbox One X is no longer worthy of getting these updates. It's time to upgrade your system. And it's a little easier to do that on a PC when you have like graphics cards with like hard and fast numbers, but PC gamers know what to expect. With console gamers, you're just marketing everything as Xbox. You pick up the game case, it says Xbox. It doesn't say Series X. It doesn't say One X. Not at the top, it just says Xbox. And that's going to confuse people. Most players like, us and anybody that's listening to this podcast will probably have a better idea what's going on. And I'd like to think that the majority of them probably already have the new systems or the PS4 Pro or the Xbox One X. But for those that don't, this is going to be
me.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a disappointing experience. If you were to buy this game, like, I can't recommend it to you. I can't recommend it at all. And if you did buy it, like, I think you would be furious.
Oh, I bet. I mean, from what I've seen, and it's not pretty. I mean, this is looking like Max Payne, on PS1 or PS2 or whatever. It's bad.
It really is. There's got to be a better way to handle that sort of thing. Instead of trying to like just cram so much information down a smaller pipe, just send less. I'm not a programmer.
Right. But all of this is so relevant, and it really does matter, because think about all the people that did not score a PS5 or weren't lucky enough to get an Xbox One Series X. They have their like you said, their PS4 Pros or their regular Xbox Ones. Maybe they have
Mm-hmm.
an Xbox One S or launch PS4 like I do.
Right.
There's plenty of people that are in that situation, and
Mm.
that's totally unfair. Why should they have to upgrade their PC to some $4,000 machine or wait until they can get a new console just to play this game?
Agreed. I agree 100% with that. And it's unfortunate. I mean, the thing would be just, it would have been handled much better if they just said flat out, it's available on the Series X, the Series S, and the PS5. Full stop. Because then, like, I mean, we're used to that. As gamers, we're used to having games stop being available at a certain point. Now, I've praised the backwards compatibility for the Xbox and the PS5. I think it's a wonderful thing, and I think it's a necessary thing. But I don't think it's necessary at the cost of building a quality game.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have, like, backwards compatibility doesn't mean like forwards compatibility too, like,
Yeah.
make it for the Series X, make it for the PS5, make it so it doesn't play on the One X and the PS4. Boom, done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But